I'm Monica Hollins.
I'm Lauren Brown.
I have about 25 years building community with both private and government entities.
And for more than 15 years, I've been creating events and experiences from corporate gatherings with 5,000 to 6,000 people to neighborhood events through HOAs and lifestyle.
About 15 years in HOA management, starting as a lifestyle director and moving to a community manager. But the entire time really focusing on building that community all the way through.
I'm currently the program director for a leading developer in Idaho.
I started my own company, Outside the Box Consulting. That's where I really work with developers on one end to make sure that we're building amenities that are intentional and that are going to be activated. And then on the flip side, I work with HOA management companies and I train lifestyle directors. And I have to say that's one of my favorite things I get to do.
I really just truly believe that lifestyle is the heartbeat of a community, and I'm really excited that I get to do that day in and day out, and I'm excited to chat about it with you and all of our lifestyle friends.
Welcome to Lifestyle Unplugged with Monica
and Lauren.
Wow. Lauren.
Yeah.
So I just have to say I have to say thank you for reaching out to see how everything went with my daughter's band.
For those of you who are playing catch up, she had a band competition for state this week.
Yes. So my daughter's band made it to state. And they've been working really hard. Anyone who is in the band family, as we like to say, understands the amount of work that these kids put in. But Lauren was so sweet, sent me a text. She's like, how did everything go? And I'm like, do I have a story for you? We'll talk later. Because when you checked in, Lauren, we were in the middle of a crisis. And it was just insane. So we get to San Antonio. We arrived. Our school district is known to be really good at band across the state of Texas. And then there's a lot of people that feel like it's a rich school, wealthy, whatever, right? So we get to the parking lot where all the kids that are going from all the schools park their buses. The first thing that was really kind of funny to me is everyone has charter buses. We pull up in our school bus. It's like,
I love that though.
It was the funniest thing. Honestly, everything should have been fine. We just rode it and, hour and a half, 2 hours down. Kids would get out. They do their warm-ups, perform. We'd jump back in. They were supposed to perform at 5:00 and then jump back in and we'd be home no later than 8:00. Right. So not a big deal to ride a school bus an hour and a half. I think we've all done that in the day. As we were getting ready to as the kids were starting to get dressed and start to meander off the buses, I get taken aside and I was told that the semi truck that carried not all of our instruments, but a majority of our instruments and our props and our soundboard, all that, got hit by a train.
What? Like, how does that even happen?
So it sounds like the semi truck they route them around. There's train tracks all over the Alamo Dome area where they performed. And so he had gone to park and the lot was still full. And so they told him to take another loop around. So he goes to take another loop around and the semi truck gets caught like high centered on the railroad tracks and cannot move.
Oh no.
And then and so they're like, this is like kind of secondhand because obviously I wasn't there, but they called call 911 to see if they could stop the train, to let them know that they're on the tracks. Because at this point they hadn't seen the train, right? But they're just like, okay, well, let's start, unloading equipment as fast as we can because this is stuck and we're not going to get out of here anytime soon. And so as they're starting to try to unload the back
Oh
of the
my
trailer,
gosh.
the railroad crossing things come down. And at that moment, they're like, we have to get out of we have to step away.
Oh no.
And so they stepped away and and thank God no one got hurt. And I want to say that no one got hurt, but they watched
Yeah,
our truck get
good.
hit by they watched our truck get hit by a train.
Oh, no.
And
Was the train, like, going fast too, or
yeah,
yeah?
there's actually videos of it all over.
Mm,
Like to say social media, there's so much that I want to talk about today that I think
mhm,
applies to what we do on a daily basis
for sure.
from a lifestyle perspective, from a community perspective.
Mhm,
But when I was taken aside and I was told that as a freshman mom, I was like, what's going to happen to these seniors?
mhm.
Are they going to be able to perform?
Ugh,
Like, this is their last, school, official school show in conference, not in conference because it's state school,
mhm.
whatever. I can't talk. I'm so tired. That's another story. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
as and for everyone to understand how band teams work is that
Mhm,
they have a booster club and
right.
everything is ran by the boosters having volunteers. That's it. Like it is volunteer ran. And so that is something that everyone should kind of perk up to because that's one of our topics that we're going to talk about today is
Mhm,
how do you work with volunteers in a situation like this, right?
mhm.
When they have people who are coming to them for information, and wanting to
Yeah,
know, and they may or may not know whatever the deal is. We'll jump into that. But also, how do you make your volunteers feel a part of a
mhm.
solution, right? And make them feel like you're making sure that you're being as transparent as you can with them. I think is really important. But yeah, so it hit and um we
That's
got
Did they get to perform?
yeah. What we did was we gathered all the volunteers. All the
Mhm,
volunteers were told what was going on, and we asked all the students to stay on the school bus because we knew that if we had them
mhm,
out and about
mhm.
and talking to one another that way, that
Yeah,
it could just get out of hand, and we had to try to manage it the best we could. So, keeping
right.
them in their school buses and having chaperones that are on all those school buses already kinda
Mhm,
manage their questions, right? Like, "What's going
right.
on? Why aren't we getting off? We should be practicing." And so, there was there was video starting to be sent to us as we were trying to figure out the solution, right? And I can't tell you how fast everything happened. Like,
Mm,
I would say
yeah.
within 15 to 20 minutes after the accident, the
Mhm.
video of the accident started circulating. So as we were sitting there trying to make sure that we were able to explain everything to everyone and give them, make sure that we didn't have kids having panic attacks and about their instruments, we all start getting these text messages. Is this real? And a couple kids had come off the bus. They're like, is this AI generated? And that,
I mean,
Lauren,
fair.
how crazy is that today? That
I know.
AI generation could help you and hinder you,
Mhm.
right? AI
Yeah.
generation gave enough pause to these kids to go, maybe that's AI. So maybe I shouldn't believe that.
Yeah, or maybe, like, I hope that's AI.
Or yeah, I hope that's AI. But on the other note, it was, it also could be used for really bad things. And so we knew we had to act quick. A meeting was, called with all chaperones and all the mini volunteers that make everything run. Everyone was versed on that. And I will say that we just kind of kept talking to them and our a band director had sent out a message to all the kids saying there had been an
Mhm,
accident. No one was hurt. And we
mhm.
will we will touch base with everyone once we know more information.
Mhm.
And so all the kids knew there was an accident. And a couple of the kids, one kid, his dad was driving the truck. And so it
Mm,
wasn't, he knew right away that his dad was okay because his dad communicated with him right away, thankfully. When we travel, we have
mm,
not only a semi truck, but we have like
mhm.
2 large box trucks. It's a lot of stuff. And so I just have to take a deep breath. We got home last night, um, and it's kind of been an exhausting 2 days.
This happened Monday?
Yes. So this is Monday that everything happened because the prelims of the finals
Mhm,
is Monday, and then if you make finals, you go back the next day.
mm.
So, but within like I don't know, like an hour and a half, we had found like people ran to the scene from our volunteers to our competitors' volunteers, ran to the scene and started unloading our truck to get all the
No.
instruments off. And immediately, one of the schools, Flower Mound, who is our one of our biggest competitors, if I may say, they immediately said, "You can borrow whatever instruments you need."
No.
So we knew that we were gonna be able to perform. And so then we worked with the state UIL to get us another time, so they slated us at the last one to go. And so then we had a plan of action that we could then go and talk to the kids and
Mhm.
bring them all together. Like, we got them all out of the school buses, um, which I felt bad that they had to be in these school buses because
Yeah, because 'cause they're not charter buses.
they're not and that's why I mentioned it before, like, it's
Mhm.
okay if it's, like, quick in and quick out, and I think
Right.
that's another thing to think about is when we're transporting people to an event or, to a
Mhm.
whatever it may be, like maybe a wine tasting or whatever, how are we transporting them, and how are
Mhm.
we prepared to deal with it if our bus breaks down? If all that kinda stuff.
Crisis management, yeah.
That's exactly it. And so we got them
Mhm.
all off the bus. Here's what's really funny. We got them all off, and one of the band directors was on his little megaphone telling everyone what had happened. And they're like, "Our band truck was hit by a train." Like, now it's confirming for everybody who kind of the video's like, "Okay." And it was like, no one was hurt.
Mhm. Mhm.
And majority of and the only instruments that were hurt were the front ensembles and a couple others. And because the other thing is the other instruments are in their cases and then in these metal wire racks. And they're like,
Mm.
the instruments in the racks were not damaged. And all I mean,
Wow.
the kids just went, and they started cheering. Like, I kinda laughed. I'm like, they didn't cheer when no one was hurt, but the fact that they get to play they were great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. They were relieved. I mean, they had that sigh of relief, like, "Oh god, thank God," because it was, like,
Mhm.
scary, but their moment of celebration was like, "We get to play. We
Yeah.
get to go
Our
on
year's
tonight."
worth of work is not going to yeah.
So,
Oh.
it
Please tell
was
me I'm dying to know how they did.
so, yeah, so sorry, I'm gonna adjust. I'm showing my, proud Vandegrift shirt. I decided to wear it,
Represent.
represent. I'm very proud, but they ended up getting 3rd place,
Wow.
which is phenomenal. My daughter ended up having to her instrument was destroyed. It was one of the ones destroyed. It's school owned, but still, like,
Right.
that's the one that she's been practicing on consistently
Mhm.
for the past 6
Mhm.
months.
Right.
And so everything's different when you're not playing your own instrument or the instrument you're used to
Mhm.
practicing on. The feel of it, if you're pushing it, it's just there's so much. But here's the amazing story is that all of these like bands that are our competitors just jumped in.
Mhm.
We had 3 schools loan us instruments or either offer, but I know at least 2, actually loaned us instruments. But we had 3
Mhm.
schools that were 2 in the area and 1 that was our competitor that already had their stuff and didn't perform at the same time, offer equipment right away.
That's amazing.
The community spirit within band,
Ugh,
it is
makes
truly
me wanna cry.
community. Oh, to say tears were shed is an understatement. Like, the times that I cried were these moments of people giving back to others, right?
Mhm.
People giving back to
Yeah.
our band. Because I have to say, as a freshman mom, I have learned that our school is not well liked because they have won so many times.
Oh.
I mean, I was at Bucky's on the and
Buc-ee's.
I don't know if everyone knows Bucky's, but it's a thing in Texas, and it's a huge. It's hard to explain, but it's a gas station slash shopping center, like all in one, whatever.
Mhm.
And I was there, and I was wearing my band shirt, and this lady turns around. She's like, "Ugh, Vandergrift." I said, "Really? After yesterday, you're going to say that?" And she goes, "No." She's actually, "I felt really bad for you guys. I'm so sorry." And I was like, It's all good." But we actually were able to have a dialogue and like
Mhm.
talk. They were on their way home. They didn't make finals. But
Mm.
I mean, it's just kind of funny. Like my husband had someone approach him in a restaurant and was like, um, we we don't like Vandergriff, but we are so sorry what happened. Like but it's like kind
Yeah.
of this fun, like kind of playful, like
But, like,
we've
the
been
true human nature, like, we can yeah, we don't want anything bad to happen to anybody, but we still wanna beat you.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
and that was the other thing that was so cool about Flower Mound being one of our biggest competitors. They got first. Being one of our biggest competitors is the fact that it was like, we are going to give you everything so you can compete because we don't want to compete against someone and feel like we didn't earn ours, right?
Mhm.
Because you didn't have yours.
Right.
Does that,
Mhm.
And so there's so
Mhm.
much respect to them. But we had one of the LIS, so we're in Leander ISD, and one of the high schools that is probably I don't know, 45 minutes north of our school in Austin, which means it's even further away from San Antonio.
Mhm.
They jumped in and got their kids together to come over and prep their trailer because they're 5A, and they sent their trailer down to pick up all of our equipment to bring it back to Austin that night. Like, and then the next morning I go in, for they do rehearsals before they go down, and I see a different semi truck from another band, and I was like, "What?" Like, it was just like this outpouring, this ripple effect of love from something that could have been
Mhm.
so like tragic and just such a heartbreaking story. It became
Mhm.
this overwhelming sense of love and pride for the band community that we're in and for our students. And Lauren, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's sad that crisis is what brings people together, but it's so heartwarming to see when it does,
Yeah.
that we can put our differences aside and help each other on a human level.
Yeah, it's just, and I think, you know, I have to say, one of the things Lauren and I talked about was there is so much that happened in these last 2 days that can be applied to
Mhm.
to our communities. And I think one thing that, is the value of community that really
Mhm.
stands out here. What our lifestyle directors do across the country day in and day out, they build that community. They build that community that when
Mhm.
a crisis happens, they step in and they are
Yep.
the ones that are directing, volunteers. They're the
Mhm.
ones that are organizing. They're doing it all. And so,
Mhm.
but that
And
can't
they're
be
that
done.
trusted person.
Yes. Because that can't be
Mhm.
done unless they build that community to create unity.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a cliche. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
if,
yeah.
I mean, you can send anyone into any place and expect them to just do some like, whatever. It's not gonna mean much if no one knows who that person is.
Right.
They're not gonna have
Right.
any allegiance or trust in that person to want to go in
Mhm.
and show up for them, right? But
Right.
in the communities that we are a part of, and we have the responsibility of creating that community and that sense of pride within our, residential areas.
Mhm.
I just want our lifestyle directors to know that that is vital to what we do on a daily
Absolutely.
basis, more than anything
Mhm.
else. That is what it's
I
all
always
about.
say our number one priority is relationships, and then second is education, and then third is event planning.
It is, and, and I guess, like, this is where lifestyle is so much bigger than the
Mhm.
everyday, right? Because
Sure. Yeah.
lifestyle, I think people look at us to create amazing programming and events, right?
Mhm.
And create,
It's so much more.
relationships. But it's so much more. And this is what if any developer is listening to this story and thinking about whether or
Mhm.
not to have a lifestyle director there, if this doesn't tell you
Do
that
it.
you should do it, I don't know what will. But
Yeah.
the fact that we're not only, event and programming people, we are building the community. So when and if, and honestly, it's really going to be when a tragedy
Mhm.
happens because it's the
Mhm.
world that we live
It
in,
will.
it will
Yeah.
happen. How do we bring our community together to rally around whatever that is?
Mhm.
And if it is, something that could be perceived as bad on our part, how have we
Mhm.
built the trust up enough with our residents so that when we put out
Mhm.
a message, they believe us?
Right. Yeah.
There's so much there that happened that I just looked at that can be applied to our communities. Like making sure the volunteers know what's going on. It just there's so much.
And I think when you have that lead lifestyle person, right, in front of these volunteers, they trust you. They're not waiting for somebody official to come in and start telling them what to do. So that trust exists so that they kind of, I don't want to say blindly follow, but they are like, okay, you tell us what to do and then you can execute efficiently.
That's so true. And you
Mhm.
know, we are already the ones that get all the calls, right? And the text
Mhm.
messages about, "Hey,
Mhm.
I saw an ambulance go through the community. Is everything
Yes.
okay?"
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Who is it? It was at so and so's house.
Yeah. Are
Or
they
I go back
okay?
to the fire station one. I think
Mhm.
so and so's house is on fire. No, it's
Yeah,
call 911.
exactly, right? But they come to us because they feel comfortable enough with
Mhm.
us because we've earned their trust over a period of time that they
Mhm.
can come to us, right?
Right.
So, here's the other thing that, is amazing is when you have an amazing community, you're also able to do more. Besides making sure your message is clear and you feel the love and support from people, you can you can do more than you could on your
Mhm.
own.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you need a whole team of people. And when you have that team that's just as excited about it as you are, then that it grows larger than life, I guess.
Yeah.
Takes on its own identity. And that's so fun. I kind of want to go back to crisis management a little
Yeah.
bit. So, what resources are you aware of that exist that lifestyle directors can kind of educate themselves on? Because it's not part of, well, there's really no training manual for lifestyle
Mhm.
directors, but, you know, how are we preparing ourselves for those difficult conversations or those difficult moments or, oh my gosh, this is happening. What do I do? Because everyone is looking to you. So how can I, how can our
Mhm.
listeners, how can we all prepare ourselves for those moments?
That's a really good question. And I have been in a few crises in communities
Mhm.
in my tenure, and I will say that it's really if you work for a developer, community, it's really
Mhm.
important that your team, and especially you as a lifestyle director, because more often than not, you're gonna be around when it happens.
Yep.
Maybe, maybe not, but just the hours our lifestyle people put in,
Mhm. And
I'm
if you're
guessing
not, they're gonna call you first.
they will. Yeah. So
Yep.
here's
Mhm.
what's really important is understanding just first and foremost from a messaging standpoint, what
Mhm.
can you say publicly and what can you not say? And case
Mhm.
in point, when we had run in me and a couple of the other uniform volunteers ran in to go use the restroom when we first got there on Tuesday, right?
Mhm.
Everything happened the day before, ready,
Okay.
set,
Yep.
new day, Tuesday. Ran in to go use the
Yep.
restroom. As we came out, we had a reporter approach us, and the
Mhm.
reporter was like, "Hey, we would love to, get your feedback on what had happened yesterday, how, the band community really came together." And we're like, "It was amazing."
Mhm.
And he's like, "I'd like to, interview you on camera." And we said, "You know what? We're in competition today.
Mhm.
That's our focus today. And so we really need
Mhm.
to, focus on that. If there's anything else
Right.
we can give you, we'll be happy to give it to you." And so we left to go do what we're supposed to do, but in the meantime, our
Mm.
uniform chair was texting the booster, and I said, and the director, and how I would put this is it'd be your community manager and your
Mhm.
board president is how I would put
Right.
who we
Yep.
contacted, and we said we were approached. They are approaching our, you know, our parents
Volunteers.
and
Mhm.
volunteers asking for feedback. We need to know how to
Mhm.
respond. Are we putting a
Right.
message out? What are we doing? Right. And I
Mhm.
think that is so important is to know first and foremost, are does the developer want you to speak to the press? I would say no. And I would
Right.
say even your management company would probably tell you no.
Mhm.
And but what's really important, and this is what we did, is they sent out a message to everyone that says, "Hey, feel free to not say anything, direct them to the high school to, comment. We're here to perform. We're here to compete,
Mhm.
and that's our focus today."
Yep.
Because we could not get sidetracked on all of that stuff because we were trying to get back to
Mhm.
center. Like, the
Right.
day prior was so traumatic.
Just like, I mean, good for
Yeah,
these kids.
and we had to just focus. So
Yeah.
just to say, we were supposed to perform at 5. We didn't perform that first night until 9:15. We didn't get home until 1:30 or 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Most of the
And you had
kids
to turn
didn't
back
get to
around.
one yeah, the kids didn't get to bed. I didn't get to bed till 3:30 in the morning, and then they had to be up by 6:30 to be back at the band hall to do to rinse and repeat. To say these kids got 3 or 2.5 hours to maybe 3 hours of sleep. They got a nap, is pretty much what they got.
Oh my gosh.
And
These
then
troopers.
yeah, and then they were sent down. And let's just put this that was a nap after a very traumatic day.
Mhm. That
Like,
you need to decompress from. Yeah.
yes. And so what is really, really important is understanding before a crisis even happens. And I think this is what's really important is to sit down with
Mhm.
your marketing director if you're with a
Mhm.
developer or sit down with your board and say, if a crisis were to happen, do we have a plan?
Yep.
Right? Because we plan for everything that we do on a routine basis. We have standard operating
Mhm.
procedures, you know, so we can train and do all
Right.
that stuff. But do you have a plan if a crisis were to hit? Who do you call?
Mhm.
Who do you call first? Your manager? Like when I worked for a developer, my job was to call the community manager first and let them know, and then to call the board president. Right? Like, if
Mhm.
the community manager, I had a really good relationship with our board and our community manager, and I was like,
Mhm.
call, let them know, and then they started doing their calls, and I could
Mhm.
call the board and say, "Here's the firsthand knowledge of what I
Mhm.
see and what's going on." Um,
So, but
that's really important.
one thing that's kind of on my mind, and I don't know why, I probably because, well, I've been to so many event planning conferences that I always think about the one session that I went to with I can't remember what it was, that outdoor concert where the stage collapsed.
Oh, yes.
And so the team there, like, really specializes in crisis management now at events. So
Mhm.
before you can even start texting and figuring out like your messaging, how do lifestyle directors plan for the safety of the people at their events?
This is like, kind of a two-sided question or
Mhm.
answer, right? One side
Right.
is it's preparation,
Sure.
and, and we'll go through that. But the flip side is there are things you will never be able to plan for,
Right.
and that is life, right?
Mhm.
And I think to any lifestyle director who has had that stuff that you can't plan for, know that you didn't do anything wrong. It's
Mhm.
not your fault. It's called
Mhm.
life. And
Right.
it's how do you deal with it from that point on that will really
Mhm.
define you and set the standard
Mhm.
of how you go forward. On the
Right.
flip side, it's making from a risk management standpoint. And here, okay,
Mhm.
I got here's a great story. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to say it.
Ooh, I love embarrassing stories.
Well, anyways, so when I started in lifestyle over 20 years ago, I mean, I was brand new to the HOA world. I had done events, right? But I hadn't
Mhm.
done community stuff.
Right.
I, I can't remember what the event was like, but I remember posing one question to my community manager, and she was like, "Absolutely not, Monica. Like, what are you thinking?" And so I wish I knew the whole context because just telling you this by itself is horrible. But I was
Mhm.
like, why don't we have like where they can walk across, like we could do this, like when people used to walk across the coals,
Mhm.
like hot coals, and it was like a mind over matter thing.
Yes.
I don't know what this event in my head that I concocted, by the way, but it had something to do with that. And okay, just my defense, just like my defense on that, lifestyle people, we're creative. We think outside
We
the box, like,
Yeah, we do.
let's not, like, do the same thing over and over. Let's not just do with the
Mhm.
community down the street. Let's do something that just sets us apart. That would definitely have set us apart. Um,
Yes, it would've. Like, you legit wanted people to walk on hot coals?
think so. I don't really like, it was so long ago, but I don't know if it was that or if
Or,
it's
like,
morphed
nails or
or if it's morphed, but I feel like it was something hot and people walking across. I think. I
I
don't know.
love that your director was like, "No."
She was like, "Are you kidding, Monica?" And I was like,
You're like,
"No, but
"Oh,
hear this. This is how we could do it." And da 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 da. And she's like, "No, not
no."
happening." And I was like, "Okay,
Some good
okay."
risk management there
I know. So,
on her part, not yours.
well, and I this is what I want to say about that is so often our ideas get shut down and we
Mhm,
don't understand the why, right?
mhm,
We're like, well, why not? Just, no. Sometimes your manager will explain it to you, and sometimes they're just like, no.
mhm,
But they have their reasons. Whether they explain them to you or not, they have
mhm,
their reasons, and most likely it's risk management.
mhm,
Let me tell you, when I became a community manager, my whole mindset changed. And I was all about risk management because that was my job to be all about risk management. And
right,
so for lifestyle, you can really set yourself apart by also being aware of risk management. so you're not
Mhm.
jeopardizing your community and putting them in a lawsuit or having horrible headlines or whatever. But so it's important to do that, but also understand that sometimes our creative brains just want to like get an idea out and then kind of start talking it
Mhm.
through, right? Like, okay,
Right.
well, what if this, or, you know,
Like, what if we do part of that, but not,
or what about if it looks like they are, right? But they're actually
Mhm.
like, whatever, whatever. I wish I knew the
Right.
event. I wish I knew the actual specifics, but for some reason, that's
I
an
do too.
implant that for some reason that is implanted in my brain. Maybe because it was the most like
Core memory.
one of the most stupid things I had ever suggested. Like I still like that's why I said I'm kind of embarrassed to even say that,
I
but
love it.
I have to give myself grace. I've grown a lot since then. I'm much more responsible
You
and
have.
risk adverse, like just anyone out there. But to on the flip side, so I think what's really important is once you have your event, as you're thinking about your event, think
Mhm.
through it. Like we always talk about this, Lauren, is walk through that event mentally. How is it going to go?
Mhm.
What bad things can happen from it? Yes, good things can happen.
Sure.
From a risk management standpoint, you have to think of what's the worst that could happen if I allowed that to happen, if we did this event. For my case,
Mhm.
we would have people with third-degree burns. We would
Yes.
have a horrible nightmare of a PR story. Our developer
Yep.
who was building,
Mhm.
it would
Sets
not be the
people on
press that
fire.
they
Yeah. No.
yeah, it was
No.
not the press that they want, right?
No. Mm-mm.
And so that's one thing to think about is walking yourself through. If our
Mhm.
electricity goes out, like if we're having an outdoor event and we're using just the electric outside, do we have a
Mhm.
backup generator if we need one?
Mhm.
Have we made sure that if it's on a lawn that our sprinklers have been turned off?
Yep.
And for a lot of our first time lifestyle people, I have to say that that's probably a pretty common one that lifestyle directors
Mhm.
find out real quick. Like, oh, I forgot to
We've done
ask
that.
the landscaper to make sure the water is turned off.
We did that, but the thing is we did ask the landscapers and they still hose down our people watching an outdoor movie night. So the landscaping company will be hosting a movie night for us
That's so
because they
kind.
forgot to turn it off. Yes.
My gosh. Oh, everyone's like, so romantic or so cozy. Whoop.
I feel like the next movie should be like something about rain or water or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a water theme.
Go
Well,
with it.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, so it's having your maintenance team go
Mhm.
out and check all your electrical outlets to make sure that they work. Because
Mhm.
let's also think about it. Like, even if your event doesn't happen, that can be a
Mhm.
crisis, right?
Sure.
Because if they paid to be a part of it and
Mhm.
you don't have a solution, you're not communicating correctly for whatever, maybe because you're waiting on the developer to create the narrative or your board to create the narrative and people are contacting you, that can blow up quickly. And so it's understanding that your job is to walk through everything you're going to utilize in that event space and make sure number one, it works and that it's safe to walk on and not be coals.
And not be coals and also check the weather, which you've said before. Like, call your meteorologist if you're unsure. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. And
don't
you should be, all
don't wing
lifestyle
it.
directors should be checking their weather like at least a week out daily.
Mhm. And I would
I
say from multiple sources too.
Yes, so key.
Mhm.
We had I know I keep talking about band, but we
But,
had
I mean, it's relatable, so
thank you, because I was like,
there's
people are
somebody
gonna
that
get
has to plan the band event, so.
exactly. So there was last week. Here's what's funny. Last week we were doing regionals, right, to see who went
Mhm.
to the state, and
Mhm.
there was rain, like 90% chance of rain the entire week, and we're like, this is not going to happen. But they pushed
Mhm.
through, and
Mhm.
4 o'clock, and it still hadn't rained. We were like, this is amazing. The weather was wrong. We're going strong.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to finish it. And as we were warming up for finals, that all of a sudden we've all been checking our radars, like, consistently, like, looking,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, it looks like we're clear here," and someone's like, "No, mine says we're gonna get hit. No, mine says it's,
Mhm.
like, south of us."
Mhm. Mhm.
All of us had different sources, and all of them
Yeah.
said something different. But here's one thing that many of our volunteers and all of us did not consider. We were looking for rain, but
Mhm.
we know that lightning can strike 10 miles from what is happening. And so whether you may not have rain forecasted,
Mhm. Mhm.
but if there's a thunderstorm forecasted or, lightning, that is
Mhm.
not safe to have your residents outside in.
Nope.
And so that is something to consider. Don't just look at it and go, "Oh, it's far away. The clouds aren't on top of
Mm.
us yet."
Yeah, nope.
And that's
If
part of
you
the
see
risk.
lightning in the sky, get out. Doesn't
Yes.
matter where it is.
Agree. 100%.
I go back to, like, the pools, right? If they even so much, hear a roll of thunder, you're out of that water, so
Yeah. Yes. Unless you're in Florida. I'll tell you that I have tried getting people in Florida out of pools when it's thunder and lightning, and they're like, "Oh,
mm,
it's fine." I'm like, "Get out of the pool." Like, this is not a choice. I'm like, "You guys are scared of anything down here. You're not scared of the alligators. You're not scared about being in a pool of water with lightning. Like, these are some brave people." Oh my gosh.
seriously.
I How they
So,
live with
I
alligators is beyond me.
my dad my parents live in Florida, and, my dad has a blue heeler that it is so funny, this dog, because they go on hikes and stuff, he is
Mhm.
constantly like, "Nope, I'm not going over there, you go over there." Like, the dog is more concerned about it than the people. He's like, "You're an idiot. No, I'm not going in that water."
Should be in charge of risk management for your father.
He
If I don't
should. He's
go
like, "No,
if I don't go,
you don't
you
go."
don't go.
Yeah. He's like, "Nope." I think they took him, kayaking once, and he fell out of the kayak, and my dad was like, "He practically walked on water to get out of there."
I bet. He was like,
He's like,
"I
"There's
know what's in this
alligators in here. I
water."
am out."
Ugh. Because 'cause I'm not a
Florida.
Floridian, that just it's just
Mhm.
alligators in general just freak me out. They're like dinosaurs to me. They just scare me so bad. Like, I'm just petrified of
You
them.
know what gets me are those, what are they, sturgeon? Those
Yeah.
giant dinosaur fish. Oh,
So
that's
this is
weird.
what's really
They
funny.
freak me out.
We had sturgeon up in Oregon in the Columbia River, which
Mhm.
where I
Mhm.
grew up, like, that was the river we'd swim in. Sturgeon never scared me. Mhm.
I would not nope. Mm-mm. I don't wanna see one. I don't want it to touch me.
But isn't
Mm-mm.
that funny? It just like, what are
'Cause you grew
you
up with it.
what do you normalize as it's okay? It's totally
Right,
fine.
because I mean, I spent a lot of time in Florida, so, yeah, the alligators don't bother I mean, I don't wanna swim in the creeks or anything, but, mm,
But you kinda bring up a really good point. Just I remember when I was working on a couple communities in Florida. It's kinda crazy that there will be people who move to Florida that don't realize alligators are in, like, really any body of water.
mhm,
Any body of water.
anywhere.
It's insane. It doesn't matter really
Mhm,
how small that body of water is.
mm-mm, no, they'll be
If
there
there's
and be like, "Hey."
Yeah. And
Mhm,
so from a risk management standpoint and to avoid crisis, put signs up saying
mm,
wild
mhm.
animals, you know, whatever, however you wanna. I'm not my sharpest today because I am on just a few hours of sleep as well, but put up,
You're doing
like
great.
thank you. Put up some, like, cautionary, and you can make it fun, like, you know, or not so
Yeah,
scary, but enough to, like, let people know, "Don't go
just,
over
like,
there."
notice. Yeah,
Yes, notice.
mhm. Just like,
Because
"Hey, these guys live here, and they might be hungry, so stay away."
and yeah, if there's about and I think, Lauren, that goes into your second biggest thing about education,
Mm,
right? Like,
mhm,
first is
yep,
relationships, and then
relationships.
is the education to educate your
Mhm,
residents about their community, how
yeah.
it runs, how it operates, what to watch out
I mean,
for,
you
like, everything.
can prevent so many things just by educating. You can prevent, like, frustration and anger and accidents. You can empower them because they're like, "I know I can do this." It just education is just so important.
It is. And
And it doesn't have to
honestly,
be boring
no,
either.
yes, I was just gonna say that, and honestly, it can make amazing programming content.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
my lifestyle director down in Florida used to, invite Fish and Wildlife in, and they
Mhm.
would they would do their whole presentation and talking about it, and they would show, pictures, or they bring skeletons, whatever, and,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
kids love seeing that kinda stuff. And adults love seeing it too, especially if when they're getting educated about, what they should
Mhm.
watch out for. But they're able to
Right.
deliver it in such a better way. Instead of a scare
Mhm.
tactic, they're able to give you
Right.
actual facts about the animal, right? Like,
Mhm.
what would cause this animal to make, you know, or wildlife to come to your doorstep? What are
Mhm.
you doing
Yeah.
outside your house that may cause them to come up and
Mhm.
say hi? As so,
Right.
like, just when you're out on the
Like your
trails.
trash. Huh.
Yeah, where do the
Right.
snakes hide? Under the log, so when you step over a log,
I
be
love our
cautious.
rattlesnake clinics that we do here, which it's more for dogs.
Mhm.
But as a dog handler and owner, they set up in a park and they have, I can't remember the name of the snake. It's not a rattlesnake, but it pretends to be one. And you can, like, walk around and the snakes will, like, shake their tail at you, and they just kinda, like, train you, but it's fun. Bec Your face is saying it's not fun. It is fun. Um,
No,
because you
I know, I have 2 questions because 'cause I've got my dog snake trained. Living in Texas,
Yeah,
I've got my dog snake trained,
right, yeah.
and it was not fun. That's another story. But what I'm curious about in my face is like, what? It pretends to be a rattlesnake?
It, like, shakes its little tail like a rattlesnake when it's, like, feels threatened,
What other snake does that?
but it doesn't have any rattles.
And all I have to say is I wish that snake was here for training. They do a real rattlesnake here, and they just tape its mouth shut.
No, nope, mm-mm, no thanks.
And you literally it and I got my dog snake trained, and my dog was like, "Hell to the no. I don't wanna go
Yeah,
over by that snake." And they
mm-mm,
make your dog go to the
mhm,
snake so they can smell it. And my
mhm.
dog's like, "Who are you?" Like, "I know. Let me stay away." And then they get it close enough, and then they shock the crap out of the dog. And then your dog's further trauma is like, "Man," like, I felt so bad.
I will
Like,
say my dog knocked me down and was like, "I'm outta here, you idiot."
yeah, like,
He took
"You're
off.
supposed to
He's like, "You
protect
die."
me. You're supposed to protect me. You made me
Yeah.
go there and get shocked." Yeah, I that's funny. I'm like,
I think
I
Biscuit probably needs a little training because she'll just
yeah,
pick
she's a
anything up.
pup. She's curious. She's a pup. I'm
She's
curious.
very curious. She's a good girl. My sister and her family were in town this past
Yes, I was
weekend.
gonna ask you
Yes.
about Halloween and
Yeah,
everything.
it was good. The girls had fun trick-or-treating. It's funny, though, because they're both only children.
Mhm.
By the last day, I think they were both like, "Okay, I'm done sharing." They were
Such an
done
only
sharing.
child thing.
And my sister and I were just like, "Y'all duke it out. We're not intervening here. Like, this
Yeah,
is for you guys to work through because you both need to share." But they were.
that's
They
so
were just, like,
funny.
picking and trying to get the other in trouble, and they were telling on each other. I'm like, "Oh my god, you guys." So,
Yeah,
it was fun. It was a really
that
good
is funny.
visit, but my niece was obsessed with Biscuit. Absolutely obsessed. Would not put her down. She
Aw,
was, like, holding her like a little baby 'cause, uh, Biscuit is on in heat, so she's currently wearing a diaper and a onesie.
fun times.
Yes, which made it seem like she was a baby, and so my niece was very into that, so
You
Biscuit
might be
got
onto
to be a
something
baby all
there.
week.
Maybe you're
Yeah,
onto something, is
yeah,
you just dress
just
it up like a baby, and then
and
people will have no problem watching Biscuit because 'cause they'll be
yeah,
deceived. Like, "Oh, it's
they'll
just
be
a
like, "Oh,
cute
she's a
little
cute little
baby."
baby." I will say, though, she's, like, very sweet. She's very sweet. Well, she's
Did she turn into a gremlin, though, still when you're away and not watching her?
no, because I think she must not feel good, I don't know. She just wants to snuggle. That's all she wants to do, and I'm just like, I mean, I get it. Give me a period onesie and then some snuggles.
Seriously, like, I think all of us ladies can relate to that, like,
Yeah,
but I would say
but she'll be back eventually when
maybe,
her cycle's
right?
over.
I mean, here's the thing, like, some dogs change after they kinda go through that first one.
Really?
So,
I've never had a dog go through it, so
yeah, I mean, I know that, I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I think
we can hope.
it's kinda like them I think it's like their maturity, right? They hit certain
Mhm.
I don't know. So,
We'll go with that. I like that answer.
I mean, humans change after they go through their first one.
Th but they're not snuggly and sweet.
No, they're not. It's like, tell me
Sorry.
when you're ready to socialize."
Yep. Sorry to
Yes.
all our male listeners.
Yeah, it's a facts of
Anyway,
life.
Monica, is your daughter doing whatever competition is this Saturday now? Wasn't there another
Yes.
one?
Yeah, you're so good. You're so good. So Friday and Saturday. Oh, I shouldn't say Saturday because you have to get through Friday before you get to Saturday,
Right.
like, from
Okay.
levels. So, yeah, so Friday they go back. Um, they don't have equipment to practice on right now. So,
Mhm.
they
That
actually
stinks.
didn't have band this morning. They did a study hall because 'cause they're like, they gotta figure out, like, how do they get instruments to practice leading up to the competition
Mhm.
and then for
Mhm.
the competition again. So that is another thing that they have to figure out. But yeah, so we'll be back in San Antonio and I just pray that it goes so much smoother. But here the
Mhm.
adversity these kids went through is
Mhm.
just and the perseverance of
And the
such young kids is just phenomenal to me.
like, the fact that they still competed and, like, were able to, like, hone it in and get 3rd like, are you kidding me? I mean, I hope they're all patting themselves on the backs.
We have to
That's
remind this
incredible.
honestly, the freshmen are just like, wow. Like, wow.
Just they're
Yes.
shocked. They're in shell
Yeah.
shock.
They're like, "Oh my gosh." Now seniors, because they've always, like, got 1st and 2nds, they're kinda bummed that they didn't place higher, right?
But
But
with
once
I mean, I get that.
but once you put it in perspective for them,
Mhm.
you're like,
Mhm.
"Was any other band's truck hit by a trailer?"
No,
No.
by a train. Yeah. No.
I
Mm-mm.
mean,
The trailer was hit by a train. Yeah.
am
I'm gonna help
I
Monica out. She needs to nap.
definitely too. I didn't even notice I
I know.
said it until you're like, "A train." I'm like,
Yes, well, you did say it earlier, and I was like, I'm just
"You
gonna
said
let her
it
go with
earlier
it.
too?"
Yes. Yep.
Sorry. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's funny. But, you have to put it in perspective and be like,
Mhm.
"No." Like, there were so many other competitors that didn't make it this far, and their tr trailer wasn't hit by a train. Gotta
Yes, good
really
job.
slow roll that one. Yeah.
I know.
So, I think it's important to, just, understand the things I guess I wanna just kind of recap here is that
Mhm.
your volunteers are extremely important and to make sure
Mhm.
that you are communicating with them so they can help you in a crisis and
Mhm.
making sure that you're communicating a message that is confident, right? And so if you
Right.
need to call in people, depending on the size of the crisis, right? Like in lifestyle, we always
Mhm.
have little crises. Like there's
Mm.
always
Little
something
baby
little,
crisis. Yeah.
right? Little bit.
Mhm.
So it's just communicating with your volunteers so they can
Mhm.
help kind of calm the waters. Say
Mhm.
the second thing, and honestly should be the first thing, is have a crisis management plan.
Mhm.
Like if you don't have that, work on that to
Mhm.
today or
Yep.
get that done.
Mhm.
And the third thing is the community that you're building on a daily basis matters more than from an events and programming standpoint.
Mhm.
It's not about how many people you can get to your events
Mhm.
as your success. It should be really about how connected and welcome does your community feel to one another and to the
Mhm.
on-site team and to you.
And I, want to say too to our listeners, if you have ever been in a situation with a huge crisis that you have dealt with, and whether it was, man, I learned from that and I don't want to do it that way again, or man, that went really well, we would love to hear about that, because I think we can all learn from other people's experiences.
Definitely. Definitely. And then I say the other thing is your community and people are a lot more resilient than we think, but also you need to be there and understand that there are people who need to be able to take a deep breath and kind of
Mhm.
get themselves together. Not everyone reacts the same way to a crisis. You will have some people that are very like focused and centered, and then you'll have people who are crying, and you'll have people that just shut down. And so understanding that when you're talking to your volunteers or your residents who are affected by such thing, that they may not they may not be mad at you. Most likely they're not mad at you about whatever said thing happened,
Mhm.
but they process it differently than how you want them sometimes to process it, right?
Yeah.
Lauren, thanks for allowing me to kind of share how this band's story and incident can really apply to our everyday line of
Mhm.
work. There's so much more there, obviously, but
Mhm.
I just want to say for everyone to take the nuggets out of today and
Mhm.
apply it to your situation and use it as a conversation starter with your board or with your
Yep.
developer.
Yep. And no matter what happens, give yourself grace because no one's gonna handle it perfectly.
Amen to that. 100%
All
agree.
right. Well, thank you for sharing, Monica, and good luck to the band this weekend. I'll be
Thank you.
excited to hear how they do.
Thank you.
And yeah, that's all for this episode because in a crisis, volunteers aren't just needed, they are essential.
Yes, they are.